Thanks for letting me come and stay with you.
It's family's fault. They stick together, right?
Angelo, this place is wild, man.
We should get our own stable and get into this whore business together.
A client of mine is looking for a girl to do a granola commercial. I think you're absolutely perfect.
There they are, our little pom-pom girls.
Awesome.
Look at that.
You have the most beautiful hair I've ever seen.
The body's been dumped 15 feet down an embankment.
Was I speeding or something, officer?
We'd like you to step out of the car and come down with us for questioning.
Please, just let me go.
She was all mine to do whatever the hell I wanted to her.
When I say I want payback, I mean I want payback.
So I heard on the news they found another Hillside Strangler victim. That makes 5 bodies this week.
That sounds like a busy man.
Please, no, I'm begging you. No! Why are you treating me like this?
Everything's gonna be fine. Just relax. Just relax. Relax. Relax.
Well, I play Ken Bianchi, who's became sort of world renowned for this killing spree that he went on in the late 70s with his cousin, Angelo Buono. They're known as the Hillside Stranglers.
Have you ever played a real-life character before?
I have. There's something, there's a certain amount of responsibility that goes along with it that I feel that I feel obligated to the person that existed. But, you know, the loads of research that's available when you do something factual is incredible, especially with the internet these days. So that was a lot of fun. And there's, you know, been movies and documentaries made on Ken and Angelo, what they had done. One in particular by the BBC that was fantastic, that supplied a lot of information. But basically what helped me the most was sort of the behavior and how unaffected he really was when he was first arrested, and how calm he was able to maintain through the ordeal, and incredibly well-mannered and treated people with respect. And it confused, I think, the prosecution and a lot of the people for a long time, mainly due to the willingness to believe, I think, is just sort of human nature. And this guy preyed upon that.
So after all your research, did you sort of come to any understanding about what makes someone like that tick?
You know, I don't know, you know, I mean, few people that I've liked to, you know, fantasize about pushing them off a cliff or something, but I've never, ever considered doing anything like it. And that's really the boundary, you know. That's with anything. That's like somebody with like Jimi Hendrix or Janis Joplin, or, you know, I mean, these people that mess with drugs and they go to that point to where they're crossing the line between life and death, and you're hanging there. And I think that portal is so small and unpredictable that once you slip through, it's sort of like a vacuum, and you're getting sucked through, and you're going, oh shit, what's happening? And I think that's what happened to these two guys. They just got addicted to that control. And it's amazing because they're not that far off from a lot of people. I mean, these guys maintain normal jobs and normal relationships, and were capable of living in society and operating and cooperating with everybody. But there was something about, you know, they say when an animal, a dog, a pit bull, whatever sort of carnivorous pet you may have, once they actually, and I grew up, I had a dog, I had a pit bull, and my pit bull attacked some neighbor's goat, and we had to put the dog down, and I was very young. And the reasoning behind it, which I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently is once they do that, once they get the taste of blood, they want more. Well, that's, you know, quite evident in this case. I mean, the first, I think, victim was a leap into the void. I mean, it wasn't something, I think, planned, and particularly from Bianchi. Buono was a little darker. He was a little more capable of doing the darker deeds than Bianchi. Bianchi was an educated man. He was a bit of a loser and a bit of a whiner, and he just didn't have a father, and you know, he was adopted, and then the adopted father split. He sort of started out not with a real, you know, he didn't really have a great opportunity in life, and failed at many, many different things, and I think that motivated him to become this, you know, killer. Or, I mean, the thing that's interesting about him is he was just a liar. I mean, the killing wasn't even, of course, that's what we all focus on, but that happened later. I mean, he became a very good thief and an amazing con artist. He was a liar, and he would do anything to get his way. And he was a pretty good actor. You know, I mean, there's footage of him trying to convince professionals who had 50 years under their belt of psychiatric training that he was schizophrenic, or, you know, basically claimed that he had multiple personality disorder, and he convinced a lot of people. He was a smart guy, this guy, you know, and that's what I found to be so intriguing when I started to focus on how I wanted to present him, because the key to the whole role for me came from this documentary. There was an interview with this biker. His name was Tiny. He's a 400-pound biker. And he was hired by an attorney who had some bad, sort of shady dealings going on with these two boys and some escorts. And one of the girls had told this client, the attorney, that these two guys were treating them so horribly, and that they were forced to become prostitutes against their will, and they were beaten into submission. And so this attorney sent these bikers over to straighten things out, and Angelo Buono was working on a car, and they pulled him through the window and shook him upside down. Didn't really punch him around too much, just scared him to death. Told him to leave the attorneys and the girls alone, to stop this or they'd be back. And they said when they went to find Ken, he'd locked himself in behind the security gate and was sniveling, crying, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me." And his reference to Ken Bianchi was, Ken Bianchi's just a sniveling little poo butt. So for me, that pretty much summed it up, you know. Once I was able to lock into that, I understood how he worked, you know. I mean, a lot of people that hit children and women and animals are scared to death to face, you know, an opponent that's potentially equal weight or even stronger or so, or bigger. And psychologically, that was a really big piece to the puzzle for me, you know. Because I played this reluctant murderer through the movie, and I found that to be more interesting for me than to just play this sort of, you know, exuberant, fanatical, blood-lusting freak. And in, you know, through the documentary footage, I found that these personalities that he was trying to present to the people, one of them was really dark. And one of them was this character, Steve, who was apparently the guy that was doing the murderings and the killings. And Ken would claim in his conscious state that he had no idea what was going on with any of the murderings, and he would never do such a thing. And then in this sort of hypnotic state, through this trance-like, I don't know, it was almost performance really, he'd pretend to be this other character, Steve. And he'd talk different, he had an edge, and he was, you know, divulging a lot of information about the bodies and the way they were killed, and, you know, how it didn't affect him. And I was able to take the two and really apply them to the performance, and almost be two different people, do two different times. Because when he's with Angelo, he's really pretending to be something he's not, and when he's with his girlfriend, he's hoping to be something that he's not. And he's really just this pathetic character, and it's kind of sad. But it made for just a heyday to come to work. You know, it was a lot of fun. It was a license to steal for as far as being a performer, and it was probably the most significant role I've had in years. And, you know, I've done a lot of work, and probably a lot of work that I shouldn't have done, but as far as this goes, I've been really, really pleased.
Did you find it emotionally draining to go to those places, or was it just fascinating from a mental point of view?
Well, it was interesting what it did to everybody around us. You know, it affected the crew. I don't necessarily work I mean, I don't carry my day with me, you know, and I can't, I don't feel free when I'm in the moment, when it's time to do the work, if I'm like constantly carrying it all with me. And, you know, if I got to do some heavy moment where my father died and I'm thinking about my dead grandfather all day or something, I mean, I just can't do that. So I pretty much like to have a good time, even when we're doing heavy stuff. But I can get to the heavy moment by having a good time easier. And I think deeper. Than if I'm trying to force something all day long. But the risk is that it might not be there sometimes, but you have to take that risk. And trust that you won't panic and begin to force something, but you will step back and allow something to happen. And that doesn't, you know, I mean, you don't always have the freedom and luxury to do that on this sort of schedule that we've been on, but this has been a real organic process for me from day one, because I didn't have months to rehearse this, and nor would I want to, really. I mean, this is like really gruesome content, and, you know, it's made me think crazy thoughts, this piece. I mean, I think things, sometimes I'm walking down the market, Lyle, and I look at a woman and I think something absolutely like that I would never have thought before. And I'm just I said to my wife today, I said, you know, I need to go away for 10 days with my family and just sort of reconnect with myself and find myself again, because as I was protesting earlier when I began this movie, I was really a nice guy, you know, and I've just sort of sunken into this space. But you can't help it, you know, if you really are connected and committed, and, you know, you start to just become it and think it, and, you know, it's time to finish. It's time to finish. I don't know if I could feel good about myself if I did this all the time. And of course, you know, these type of roles don't come around all the time. But I wouldn't, now that it's pretty much over, I wouldn't, I mean, I love the experience. I really loved working with Nick. He's fantastic in the movie. And I felt that I've, you know, taken some risks personally in the piece that may or may not work, but they're not safe choices, so I'm very content with that. I mean, I have so very little to do with whether it's a good movie or not. I mean, I just play one part, and, you know, I'm able to do the best with what little I have, and hopefully the symphony will come together, you know. I'm just playing one instrument, playing the shit out of it, but it's like, you know, we got all be heard, and I don't know if it's good or not, but I'm beating up the drums. The arena that was given to me to work in was just phenomenal, and that, you know, our producer, Hamish McAlpine, really took a risk with me, I think, giving me this role. There was some chaos with the casting, and everybody wanted different people. Somehow I emerged, and I think, you know, I really owe something to him personally, because this role really affected me as an artist, and you know, you take a little something with you from each piece, and I think it's going to help me in the long run overall, this experience. And I've been sort of in the wings waiting for somebody to take a little risk with me, you know, give me a shot, because a lot of people think they know my work, and a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. And I was really happy to be able to get in the game, you know, just play. You know, go and play.
So you enjoyed working with Nick and with the director?
Yeah. I mean, there was a real freedom and a sense of, you know, trust from day one between Nick and myself. I mean, Nick and I were basically thrown into the fire. On day one, we were, you know, raping and murdering. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. And then I realized, okay, what kind of movie we were beginning to make. And I think each day, Nick and I challenged each other to the job at hand, and you know, of course, with the respect to the actresses who were playing the victims, apart from that, I mean, we really gave it everything we could, and it's pretty visceral, it's real, it's scary, it's a real, like, you know, these type of movies scare me more than like monster movies or horror movies. I mean, these movies are just, it's factual, and things like this happen, and it's very frightening to think that somebody could go through 2 hours of sheer torture and misery and hell and love it. It's scary.
Why do you think people are so fascinated with serial killers? And because they're, you know, they keep doing movies about serial killers and people just love them.
Well, you know, it's just train wreck TV, and people just love to stare at the horror.
I thought that was it. Why are they doing more treatments? He's been seeing a couple of girls, but nobody good enough to consider marrying, thank goodness. Yeah.
Hi, Ma.
Aunt Jenny says hello.
Hi, Aunt Jenny.
Isn't Angela taking care of that stuff?
You want a toke?
No thanks.
Everybody out here's doing it. You might as well jump on the bandwagon.
All right. can't believe I got picked for that granola commercial.
This client of mine, he knows talent when he sees it.
My friends were so excited when I told them.
Wait till they see you on TV. So what? These drawings could be anybody.
That was stupid grabbing that chick the way we did.
Yeah, that was stupid. But God, she had that red-haired Tony, and the sex was so good.
Hey! That old bitch saw us, Kenny. And she lives in your neighborhood. Better start thinking about moving and getting rid of that Cadillac of yours. It's time to take a break, kid. Let the heat die down. And the next time, if there is a next time, we play it safer. No more fucking around.
Yeah, whatever. You're the boss.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And don't you forget that, motherfucker. Oh, fucking...
I had to take Claire to the airport today. Jesus. She went off to Oregon to visit her folks.
Without you, I see. Looks like the party's over there, me know me.
I really hope not. I love that girl.
Fuck love.